All right, so welcome everyone so far who's here and those who will soon to be join. I want to talk about a little bit about the history of Greenwich Wellness, why I started it, what it is. Greenwich Wellness is a wellness center in Greenwich, obviously that's pretty given, that seeks to end the sick care model. And by doing so, what we're trying to do is take patients away from a model of healthcare that puts them into drugs and surgery, and then ultimately prevent the need for those to even begin with. Not to say that there's ever a time for drugs or surgery, but we're in a system now where that's what people think health is. And I feel differently, and we'll talk about why I feel differently and how we work to do things differently. We use chiropractic, acupuncture, and nutrition. And the reason I use those in Greenwich Wellness is because, in my opinion, they're the triad of health. And when you're using all three of those aspects, you're doing everything you can from a neurological, biomechanical, biochemical perspective to treat the body. The other one that I would say that Greenwich Wellness isn't really working with is the emotional. But in that situation, we refer patients to where they need to go to get that emotional aspect. That would be the one aspect of care that I think is unique to each individual and also worth addressing. So, why do people need to detox, purify their body? What is a detox? What can patients expect by participating? We're going to discuss all that. So in our current system, in our current healthcare, disease is now a result of toxicity. What we see now is, as opposed to 100 years ago, it was more, we were sick because we didn't have enough food, we didn't have enough water, we didn't have enough shelter, we didn't have sanitation, we didn't have plumbing like we have. Now we have an abundance of that stuff, thankfully, but unfortunately we have an abundance of things in our environment that are now causing us to be sick. Through the benefit of technology, we've had an easier lifestyle, but now we have a highly toxic lifestyle, which we got to work to undo. Some examples of this are just going to be your tap water. When you're looking at tap water, you look at all the chemicals in tap water. In every major city, they're testing positive for 8 to 10 pharmaceuticals. So whether you've been prescribed these drugs or not, you're taking them. There's also fluoride, which is a very well-known neurotoxin that sedates people and makes them very tired, and also, can be cancerous. So there's a lot of different aspects, and now even if you eat out, if you go out to eat, you can't control what's in that food. The reason people like eating out a lot is just because of the high sugar content in the food. You're going to use more sugar than you would at home. Well, hopefully they're using more than you are at home. Otherwise, you're using a lot of sugar. More salt. And chances are you're probably not going to a farm-to-table or an organic restaurant every time you're out eating. So you're getting GMO food, you're getting Roundup, which is glyphosate, which is on all conventional food, and it's a very, very well-known carcinogen that alters DNA. So why are we seeing all these autoimmune diseases in our society? Because we're getting a lot of DNA mutations through these chemicals that are so strong. I believe Harvard did a study where it said it takes 4 generations for the effects of DNA mutations from glyphosate to be taken out of basically a genetic line. So that would mean that, for the next 4 generations, your family would have to not eat these chemicals to undo the mutations that they're causing to your DNA. And that's just impossible in today's society. So you're going to be exposed to it at some point. So looking at that. So when we talk about that, another thing recently that I saw was, we talked about the Impossible Burger on a video a while ago, but then most recently I saw another article, and not to single out one company, but looking at it, where the Chick-fil-A sandwich tested positive for over 33,000 chemicals just in that sandwich. So it's a chemical sandwich. It's not really a chicken sandwich when there's 33,000 chemicals in the chicken. But we have over 80,000 chemicals allowed into the American food supply. I don't know if many people know that, and a lot of these are concoctions. You can speculate as to why they're in there. We're not going to touch upon that today. We're just going to talk about identifying that they're there and how do we remove them. Who benefits from detoxification? Well, when you think about the food, the air, the water, it's easy to say everyone. Some people feel okay, some people are doing all right, right? But the person who is going to really be at the forefront of thinking about, I need a detox, if you have poor digestion, bloating, right? After you eat, you bloat up after you eat. Your gut biome is probably altered and you need to straighten that out, or you need to stop eating what it is you're currently eating. The other thing we're going to see with the digestion is people with sleep disorders, not having the organs clean and at rest when they're supposed to do their job. When you're sleeping is when you're repairing, is when you're healing. is when things are coming back to strength, so you're ready to take on the next day. If the body's too busy trying to fight the toxic load, it can't go into repair during sleep. So you're going to see sleep disorders in people with that. Chronic fatigue. Everybody's tired. Seems a lot of people are tired, and it seems a lot of people aren't pulling all-nighters. Why are they tired? It's another sign of toxicity. It could be some other things which we would address if you came into Greenwich Wellness when we first saw you, and we would go from there. Sinus infections. A lot of people, I get sinus infections, chronic sinus infections. A lot of that's from a food sensitivity. A lot of that is just from all the inflammation that's coming in. Sugar is such a major breeding ground for bad bacteria. And so that sugar content is going to really increase the bad bacteria that's in your passages, and they're going to replicate. And next thing you know, you have an infection. So we are what we eat is the point we're constantly trying to drive in. You got digestion, you got people with arthritis, systemic arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, different types of metabolic arthritis, even just the regular, osteoarthritis that people call wear and tear, that some of the community will say is normal with age, but it's not. It's not a normal thing. It shouldn't happen. And if it is happening, we have to figure out why that's happening. Eczema and psoriasis, skin disorders, very common issue that the treatment usually ends up being steroids, and that causes more adrenal fatigue, and then the person ends up with some kind of immune disorder, sleeping disturbances because the adrenal rhythm is off. So, all these different things, they're all a result of the body not being in balance, not being in homeostasis, and being toxic. Fibromyalgia is basically a syndrome of all these things we're talking about. Patients with fibromyalgia, the body hurts, they're tender, they're tired. That fits the whole spectrum. The only real way I've ever had great success with people with fibromyalgia, outside of alleviating their pain with adjustments and acupuncture, but to really get them to a place where they don't need to be adjusted all the time, because that's the goal, right? The goal is not to constantly be getting treated. It's to be well and to maintain your wellness. So what we see when we're doing fibromyalgia treatments is the only time I really see those patients come out of pain is after a detox. It's when they sleep, it's when they don't hurt. And for some reason, some people are more chemically sensitive than others. Someone with fibromyalgia is feeling it right now. They're feeling every toxic load that they get. They're feeling all the burdens. But someone may not. The person next to them, their brother, their sister may be fine. But that toxic load is going to manifest at some point, either in the form of some kind of colon issue. It could be heart issue, kidney disease, right? The cause of disease is always going to boil down to some kind of toxicity and inflammation where the body's out of balance. So then on top of that, we have people who, in our practice, who are really high performers, and they do eat well and they exercise well, but they're athletes and they want to perform well, or they want to do their best. They want to clean out the body. All the activity of exercise and all the activity of all these things, the body itself, even in a perfectly clean, natural environment, is detoxing. So the detox pathways are innate, they're in us, but they're constantly being challenged, not only by just our lifestyle, our working, our activities, our exercises, and just when we eat good, clean food, there's still a detox that has to happen. We have to eliminate what's coming in. But what's happening on top of that is now we have a whole new toxic chemical load coming in that we need to clean out. So I think we talked a pretty good amount about why one would detox and what would be the benefits. What we're going to go into now is some of the different cleanses that are out there. I'll talk briefly about them, and I think any effort to detox is a good one. I see a lot of prepackaged juice cleanses. That's good. They're good. I wouldn't say that they're a bad effort. The one thing I would kind of caution is buying prepackaged juice cleanses that are sitting in plastic bottles on a shelf, because plastic leaches into juice, and now you're taking in the plastic chemicals. So if your goal is to unload your toxic burden, and you're drinking juices that are marinating in plastic, can be a little counterproductive. So if you're going to do one of those, not to say that they're a bad thing, try to find one where you got glass bottles coming in, or maybe where it's a recipe you make your own, or some kind of powdered thing, but not something that's basically sitting in a fridge in a plastic bottle for 4 to 5 days before you consume it. But those cleanses can help. They lighten your toxic load, and they go through that area. So Greenwich Wellness uses Standard Process, which is the oldest supplement company probably that there is, especially full spectrum. And the thing about Standard Process is it's whole food supplementation. What does that mean? The majority of supplements on the market are not whole food based. And you got to think to yourself, well, what is a vitamin? and where is it found? So we won't get into the molecular structure and the biochemistry of things, but just to the average person, if you said you need nutrients and you said you need to find, minerals and vitamins, where would we go for that? Well, we go to food. But in today's society, the food is contaminated, and also our supplement industry is not using food. So I have my favorite vitamin here that I like to use to exemplify this. Centrum, right? Highly marketed, lowly touted amongst those in the know. But I'm going to kind of go through just a couple ingredients. We did a video a while ago on this, but I think this is relevant to those just tuning in and seeing what we're doing here. If you look at this, I'm going to just kind of pick some of the ingredients out of here, but you tell me if they sound like food. Aluminum lake, modified cornstarch, hydrogenated palm oil, blue number 2, aluminum, FD&C red number 40, aluminum lake again, a lot of aluminum. We got palm oil, right? Hydrogenated palm oil again. Polyethylene glycol. That's not something you want in your body. It belongs in your car, not in your body. So so what we're looking at here is just a bunch of chemicals made in a lab, and that's defeating the purpose. That's increasing your toxic burden. Some of these are carcinogens. Aluminum, the known cause of Alzheimer's disease. Why would we be taking in more aluminum by choice, especially? So this would not be something you want to take. When we're looking at one of the main products here in part of our cleanse here is this SP Cleanse that Standard Process uses. I'm just going to read some of the ingredients here, and we're going to see if we see any chemicals, basically. We're going to see juniper berry, red clover, collinsonia root, apple pectin, burdock powder, barley, dandelion, beet, Spanish black radish, Oregon grape, fenugreek, inositol, cayenne pepper, milk thistle, mushroom, kale, carrot root, sweet potato. So those are foods, that's nutrients. And what's great about Standard Process is they take these nutrients and they basically have a patented process to get them into a tablet form. They've been doing it on a soil that's certified organic for over 80 years. And in ensuring they can stay isolated from the surrounding element, they also purchased about 300 acres around the farm that they've been growing on, and this way they can control what's happening on the surrounding land that's touching the farm, and this way they can keep out cross-contamination or cross-pollination from seeds blowing from a non-organic farm in the nearby area. So they've really done a good job to isolate that. And the other thing that's important, I think really important, it's not just that there's chemicals in these things, is that they're just fragments of vitamins, right? Those are fragments of vitamins. So if you think about a vitamin C, we're going to talk briefly about this vitamin C thing, and then we're going to move on to how Greenwich Wellness uses the cleanse, and why we suggest you do it under a doctor's care, especially for chronic illness. So vitamin C is a complex molecule. It's not just one thing you can identify. So if we look at vitamin C, we have basically a molecule, and my handwriting's horrible, but you can see this main molecule with the surrounding structures off of it, right? But if we look at how vitamin C is listed on especially this one, vitamin C, 60 milligrams, 100%. The vitamin C here is ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is how the FDA requires people to label vitamin C. So ascorbic acid is incredibly cheap to make. Ascorbic acid can be made for pennies on the dollar and then sold at such an increased markup, and it costs nothing. But it's a synthetic form of a fraction of vitamin C. So when we look at vitamin C, you have this would be your ascorbic acid molecule coming off of the Bain molecule. But then you have vitamin P, rutin, all these other structures in vitamin C you're not getting. And you can't get them unless it's from a whole food-based source of the vitamin C, because it's whole, it's in its natural element. The other thing you don't get when you're taking these chemical-derived supplements is you're not getting the trace minerals that come with that, right? So food works with the soil infuses the food. Minerals are in the food, and the minerals make those vitamins more effective and more bioavailable. Carrot root, and it is one of the ingredients in a lot of it's in this one I just read to you, I believe, and it's one ingredient in the Standard Process line where you have over 246 trace minerals. So there's so much more that we can't even identify when we're eating food from the earth, right? Again, that soil has to be kept clean, it has to be protected, it has to be nourished, crops need to be rotated, and that's the other reason Standard Process does a great job, is they ensure that. So hopefully you can understand that if you're taking something where you see 6,000% your daily value, you can rest assured that's a chemical, because 6,000% or 2,000% of vitamin C, look at an orange, how big is that? If that was 6,000%, like, how big would the vitamin be? It'd be pretty large. So, you're not going to see that. When you see you see the vitamin C content listed on a standard process, you might see 15% because they're required to list it as the ascorbic acid content. But what you're actually getting is the whole vitamin spectrum. So, as opposed to just this mega dosed synthetic fraction of the vitamin component, you're actually getting the whole component with all the trace minerals, and your body's going to use it. The other thing, that a good way to know if your vitamin is working or if it's good or not is, do you have colorful urine, right? Are you going to the bathroom and seeing bright yellows and bright oranges and browns? You shouldn't see that. Those are chemicals coming out. That's not like the excess vitamins that your body didn't absorb. That's the chemicals your body did absorb. So when you're taking a whole food-based supplement, you're not going to have colorful bathroom breaks. It's going to look like it should, and you're not going to glow in the dark, right? So we don't want that. That's not where we want to be. How does Greenwich Wellness use the program? Well, the way we do it is we have a few different ways of doing it. We have a 10-day, their standard process has 10-day detoxes, they have a 21-day, and they have a 28-day. The 21-day is probably where a lot of people should go, where they should start. It's big for weight loss, it's big for anti-inflammation, it's big for just cleaning out the body, getting someone back on track. 10-day cleanses are more blood sugar balancing, inflammation. I would recommend those for someone who is probably too hesitant to take on the 21-day, and they could start at the 10, get comfortable, get their strength up, start to feel good, get some results, and then move forward and try to start working more, towards the 21-day. The 21-day would be someone who, really, really wants to get the full benefit. The 28-day cleanse is a long, sustained detox. You're going to get into the cytochrome P450 pathways, and you're going to really start detoxing at a high level for an extended period of time. You can't detox your body in 3 days. I've had a lot of patients ask me, well, I've done the apple cider or the ginger cleanse, takes more than 3 days to clean the body out. But it's not bad if you want to do a 3-day lighten your digestive load, lighten your toxic burden. If you want to take that kind of approach, that's fine. But you can't expect to detox your liver, spleen, colon, and all that in 3 days. It doesn't work that way. The body has to be clean. It has to be clean for a long period of time before it can dig deeper into tissues and pull out the toxins. All right. So we're going to get into how do we detox. Detoxing can be really difficult. I don't know if anyone out there has done one, if anyone's felt it. But it hurts the first few days. If you're really toxic, those first few days of a cleanse, you're gonna know. So in that situation, it's really wise to have a doctor assisting you to get through this process, because especially if you've never cleansed or you've never had any kind of detox, or you've never made any effort to really just improve your overall health, it's gonna be really tricky. Because the first 3 to 5 days, your body's going to go through a toxic shock, potentially. And in that situation, a lot of people will quit. But usually by the 5th day, feeling a lot better. Usually by the 3rd day, the sleep is a lot better. But that 2nd to 3rd day, they can be pretty tough. So how do we assist that? We assist that with real healthcare, with natural healthcare, right? With chiropractic, we assist that. With acupuncture, we assist that. So what does the chiropractic do? The chiropractic adjustment, when a patient's coming in, if they're already toxic, we need to get their nervous system awake, right? Toxins are ultimately going to underline the nervous system. They're going to affect the nervous system, and it's not going to do well. So we have to get the nervous system up to running. Why? Because the nervous system is how you exist. It's how everything happens. Your brain's connection to your body is through your spinal cord. The brain tells organs what to do through that brain connection through the spinal cord. If there's some interference along that pathway, then we know you're definitely not getting optimal signals from your brain to your body to do what it needs to do. And this is the instance where we'll see very, very beneficial visceral results with just the chiropractic adjustment. A very common one for new patients, especially low back patients, is constipation. So lumbar nerves are under pressure. Those nerves control the lower intestines, and the intestines are slow because the brain's connection to that body is not moving as it should. And the communication goes both ways. So the organ's telling the brain what's going on, and the brain is trying to tell the organ what's going on. It's hard to identify if it's which way the system's going sometimes, but if we just clear out that system, we know the communication can flow. So a lot of new patients coming in with low back pain will come in the next day, and what did you do? What happened? And what do you mean what happened? Oh my God, this morning it was so beneficial, so much of a release. So you hear a lot of patients talking about their bowels are active, and they've been struggling, and it was really a neurological inhibition of the lower intestine that made their intestine sluggish. It wasn't getting the power supply, it wasn't getting the energy to tell the intestine what to do. So with just a simple adjustment, someone who's been dealing with constipation for months is no longer constipated. Another really powerful one that we see quite a bit is asthma. Asthma is basically known as a neurologic condition. There's some other aspects to it too, the exercise induced, but for the most part, it's a neurologic condition. But the treatment is never neurological. It's always steroids, vasodilators, and in an emergency, certainly, go that way. But why not a neurological treatment? The chiropractic treatment of asthma is to treat the T4 nerve, which is the nerve that controls the lungs. So you take an asthmatic and you adjust them at that level of the spine, and they start breathing. They're like, why can't I breathe now? Because your brain can now tell your lungs to breathe, right? And we see a lot of asthma in people with scoliosis, because it's especially a thoracic spine scoliosis. They're restricted. That nerve, just the nature of all the curvature in that area is compressing nerves, and the lungs aren't getting the information they need. So chiropractic is really going to turn on that nervous system, and we at least know the quarterback for your body can do what it's supposed to be doing. The other thing that we have to bring in when we're facilitating someone in this detox process is we have to make sure the organs are doing what they're doing. And how do the organs do what they do? The organs do what they do basically by having enough blood flow through them, enough nerve supply, and kind of keeping the body in homeostasis, right? And the other thing they need is the proper biochemistry, which is the nutritional component. Acupuncture is a great way to kind of jumpstart an organ, I guess, without getting too much into the science or the philosophy of it. But what we can do with acupuncture is we can kind of slap an organ from the outside and say, wake up, do your job, you're not doing your job. So what we need to do is kind of, someone especially who's having digestive issues, liver toxicity, acupuncture really turns that on. What it does is it's going to increase blood flow to that organ. It's going to wake it up through these pathways called meridians. If you're familiar with acupuncture, you know this. If not, you're like, what is he talking about? How does this happen? And each organ has its own energy pathway that it travels through the body, and we're able to map that out. How they did it, I have no idea. It's insane that they were able to figure that out over 4,000 years ago. It still holds true to this day, and Western medicine just continues to prove its benefit as opposed to disproving it. The more we know about Western medicine, the more we can explain why acupuncture works. So we're actually able to turn those organs on and make it start moving. The other thing is, if someone's going to detox and their lymphatic system is slow, that's going to make those first 3 to 5 days even harder. So by adjusting them, we know that the lymphatic system is going to turn on neurologically. With the acupuncture, we're going to really pump that lymphatic system into full motion and get the drainage going out. Because once you start detoxing, your toxic load is going to come up and it's going to be circulating, and we want to get that out. And then the other thing is massage. Massage, everyone kind of gets the benefit of massage. It feels great, so that's enough reason to do it. But the other thing is, massage is very effective at lymphatic drainage. We can drain towards a certain way, drain towards detoxing. So massage is another very important way that we do it. So going from there, I'm going to try to wrap up soon. So what we're doing is you see a whole integrated approach here where we're addressing what I like to call the triad of health: the mechanical, neurological, biochemical, and blood supply to the body, right? What should you know before beginning a cleanse? Well, you should know that you're going to probably not be having any bread. Well, you're definitely not going to be having bread or dairy. And unfortunately, you can't have coffee either when you're really doing an effective cleanse. Not that coffee in itself is bad, but coffee tends to congest the liver, and when you're detoxing, your liver needs that energy to do that. So a couple things we tell patients to prepare for before they cleanse is start increasing your water intake. And we've talked about water a few minutes ago. Ideally, through a reverse osmosis machine. We want to make sure you're getting water and not another chemical cocktail. If you buy Dasani, stop it now. That's not water. So if you can't get access to an in-home filtration system with reverse osmosis, then preferably get water in a glass bottle, right? Something that's not sitting in a plastic bottle on the shelf. So increase your water intake. You're going to need to be hydrated before you begin the cleanse. The other thing is, if you're going to do this for a chronic illness, if you're into one of those categories we talked about earlier with chronic fatigue, joint pain, digestive issues, you're going to probably have some other underlying issues that are going to need to be tailored and are going to need to be examined. So what we'll do in that situation is really suggest you get in with the doctor. If it's not here, wherever you are, if you're in another city, go to, your chiropractor. Most of them have good information on it. Go to the acupuncturist. They're well versed on this as well. But see someone before you just try to start detoxing and then you set yourself up for failure. Because what we may, the cleanse for one person coming in with a digestive issue is going to be tweaked from a person coming in who's chronically inflamed or has a lot of allergies, right? So we may take the cleanse and we may say, all right, we got to add a digestive component to this. We need to look for underlying causes of your illness as opposed to just giving you a blanket cleanse. Everything is modified specific to the patient. And that's where, cleansing through under the care of a doctor is the right way to do it. And looking at that, and I'm trying to see here if we have any. That's pretty much what we wanted to get done today. I guess I'll pause now as we only got a few more minutes. It went a little quicker than I thought. This was my first time doing this, guys, so thanks for joining. Hopefully I get a little better at it as we go along. But if there's any questions, I'll pause for a minute here to see if there's any questions. Otherwise, we'll let everyone get back to their day. All right, very good. Looks like we're good. I think I covered everything. I did so good the first time. What we want to do is this will be up for those who are working or sleeping or eating, couldn't make this. It'll be up on our site. Feel free to, if you have any questions, you can comment on the comments once it's up on our post, or you can tag people if you want to share this. Be mindful going into the holidays that this is the main reason we're doing this talk is because we're all going to go. We're going to have some fun. We're going to do things that we enjoy. We're going to take some liberties, and we should. But the problem sometimes is people start making decisions right around Thanksgiving, and then in March they're still making those decisions. So I think if you're prepared going into it knowing, hey, I have a way to get examined. I have a way. There's a doctor here who can take a look and let me know what I need to do, and we can modify what you need to do going into the holidays. But ultimately enjoy them and think about January not just being when you say, hey, I want to get healthy. You get a gym membership and you never go. Think about, I want to really change my body. I want to turn it around and I want to feel better than I've ever felt. The benefits of sleep, the benefit of increased skin, the benefit of mental clarity, the benefit of increased digestion, less bloating, right? Bloating on the cleanse is gone within like 4 to 5 days. People feel like they delivered a baby. So the benefits are amazing. The things we've seen, men losing anywhere from 20 to 25 pounds in 3 weeks. Women tend to losing anywhere from 18 to 22. And these are people who are already fit, So, and if you're really in that further end of the toxic load, the benefits are it's life changing. And then at the end of this whole process, it's liberating because you know what makes you sick, you know what makes you healthy, and you're no longer guessing as to why you feel the way you feel. And I think that's the most important thing a patient can take away from this is knowing how to own their health and how to be well. And that's what we're here to help you do. So thank you guys for joining us today. Dr. Massoud at Greenwich Wellness, and I thank you guys for your time.